The latest in the federal challenge against Illinois' gun and magazine ban. You've got the transcript that's now floating around out online of the hearing that happened on Wednesday last week, and it's a doozy. So I would encourage you to seek this out. I did retweet it from various different groups that got this, and it gives you all of the questions, the openings, the arguments. It's a good 117-page read, but I think that you'll be interested to see what some of the judge had to say there. But what's the next step in the federal case? Well, you've got a couple of different things going on, not just, of course, the transcript, which you could delve into, but you've got the possibility that a judge in the federal district, Southern District, could grant a preliminary injunction blocking the law from taking place. And that's got people looking forward to what's going to happen next. Well, I talked with Richard Pearson. He is the executive director of the Illinois State Rifle Association. He laid out some of his thoughts on what the trajectory is here moving forward.
Well, we were encouraged by the questions the judge asked, of course. But the next thing that will happen is he'll make a ruling on a preliminary injunction or not. I am predicting that we will get one, but it will immediately go to the Seventh Circuit Court. The state will appeal, or we will appeal, however it turns out. So
now, if the judge does side with the plaintiffs in this and grants a preliminary injunction, it's possible that the state could request a stay on that injunction pending the outcome of the appeal. Now, what would that do? It's something that Pearson has seen happen elsewhere.
They can ask for that, and that's happened before. But sometimes they give them a stay of 14 days, or I've been watching lawsuits around the country, and then it goes into effect. But I mean, it's just wasting time. But the state's noted for that.
But Pearson also talked about the impact that would have on people, a sort of whipsaw impact.
Well, I think it would probably irritate them if they asked for a stay. Everybody wants to get this thing settled, and so we wanted to move into the Seventh Circuit and there to the Supreme Court if that's where it has to go.
It's going to cost money, he says, and they've got resources.
Well, yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but we are raising money every day, and we're asking for our friends to help, and some of them are going to do it. So we have enough to go to the Supreme Court. There's no question.
So Richard Pearson, executive director of the Illinois State Rifle Association, also getting wind of the questions that the judge asked on a variety of things from, what types of weapons or what types of weapons and all of the attachments that there might be. And even if you look through the transcript, the judge even says that, he brings up the issue of delays in getting concealed carry permits. He says he's waited since September for his. And a variety of other questions. Again, I would encourage you to seek out that transcript and give that a read. But Pearson said he was encouraged by some of the questions the judge had.
Well, I thought the judge's statements about handicapped people and that sort of thing were very compelling. Handicapped people have a right to defend themselves like anybody else does, and by passing all these laws and all the equipment that you can't have on a firearm, it makes it difficult for them to do that. So it's always an advantage to the criminal, and so that's what this part of this lawsuit is about. The advantage should be to the law-abiding citizen.
Now, one of the things that the judge did say, and we'll see if we can pull this up here at the tail end of the transcript with the court, as Judge Stephen McGlynn, he talks about how the briefs were well written. He says it was well done. He started off the day in the trial courts. We see the people, not only the victims, but we also see the perpetrators of these things. And all of us would love to see serious reduction in the number of these mass shooting crimes, in particular because that's what's been referenced. From where I sit and from what a lot of judges see, I think that we have to start looking at not just the guns, but why we all have these troubled teens and young people going through mental health crises. What medicines are they taking? What red flags are we seeing? And why are they being allowed to come into our schools? I think that the courts would be happy to see efforts to identify children, teenagers, individuals who are having a mental health crisis and say, you know what, until that person can successfully address that crisis, let's prohibit them from having access to weapons. Nothing like that is in this bill. I hope that in the future there are bills that are like that, but that's just me, the judge said, I guess. Editorializing, he says. I've been given a lot to read, you've given me a lot to think about, and we are adjourned. So again, that last statement there, I got Pearson to react to it.
Well, that's exactly right. We're seeing these criminals being let loose, in couple hours, after they do a violent crime, and they're all back out on the street, and it's just encouraging. And so they needed to prosecute the individuals, and a lot of this would stop. They also need to, Illinois has mental health background checks, and other states do not. So you talk about Tennessee, and it's not near like Illinois is. But so mental health has to be brought into this, and we have to fund mental health treatment for people. It's just a fact of life. So I think that that's very important. The state of Illinois has done a poor job funding mental health treatments, and so I think there's time to go back and do it the right way.
So again, Richard Pearson providing some reaction there to the judge's last statement in Wednesday's hearing. But others that I've been watching this closely, Todd Vandermeide, he says that the judge knew what he was talking about, and if he does grant a preliminary injunction, that's going to be important, Vandermeide said.
For us, this means that we reset things back to January 9th. This gives all the individuals the ability to go back to acquiring firearms that maybe they didn't have the money back then to acquire, that they've been saving up, and now they want to acquire.
Now, Dane Harrell, one of the main plaintiffs in one of those 4 consolidated cases in the Southern District, he was a little bit cautious about what exactly is going to happen here moving forward. Here's Dane Harrell when we talked with him on Friday.
Everybody's in agreement, regardless of which side of the issue they're on, that this is probably going to be a long, protracted legal battle, and it'll probably end up in the courts. It's already been months. It'll probably end up in the courts for many more months, if not years.
And something else Harrell said in the question of, will this get settled before the next shoe drops in the law? Of course, last Monday, we had the portion of the law kick in saying that you could face criminal penalties if you are found with non-compliant magazines or non-compliant firearms. You can get a petty offense for the magazines, $1,000 fine. For the firearms, it could be up to a Class 2 or Class 3 felony, which even the judge in the Southern District said seems pretty steep, especially with all the other things that means you could be impacted by. For instance, all your guns could be taken away if you're charged with a felony. So it's pretty steep, the judge said. Now, Harrell, he said that he doesn't see this being resolved before the October 1st window opens for you to register your firearms by January 1st. Whether there's a preliminary injunction in place, who knows? But Harrell, he questions whether or not that registration is going to be happening.
I don't even want to speculate what the compliance rate is going to be. And that's going to be up to each individual to decide. But they say good policy is one where people follow. I'm not sure that's good policy if folks that are otherwise law-abiding are going to be non-compliant.
And then finally here in the federal cases, you have in the Northern District, that case out of Naperville, which is in the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. So the Southern District case, when that's decided, it's expected to be appealed to the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. The 7th Circuit Court of Appeals already has the Bevis case, which challenged Naperville's law, but was amended to challenge the state law. A judge up in the Northern District sided with the state on that, saying that the gun ban can stay in place, and even moving forward, that goes on to the 7th Circuit. It's been transmitted, but there's also a motion to consolidate cases there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what ultimately happens with the federal cases in this ongoing litigation against Illinois' gun and magazine ban.